Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenz, and in the video today, the top 10 things so terrible, they're terribly good. Just before we get started, I would like to suggest another channel. It's called Biographics. It's a brand new channel that I present. It's all about biographies of notable people from the past and the present. Loads of people coming up on there. We got Richard Branson, Elon Musk, not just business people though, Vladimir Putin, the Queen of England, all sorts of notable people. Do go check it out. It's a bit longer form. Videos are about 20 minutes each, 2 a week. I really hope you enjoy it. There is a link in the description below. And let's get started. So bad is good is a concept that applies to all forms of media. Basically, it's when something sucks so hard its Metacritic rating bottoms out and somehow it finds itself below zero, at which point, well, it becomes amazing. Here's a list of 10 companies who seem to specialize in making exactly this kind of content and do it so well that you have to kind of respect them. Number 10. Paranormal Entity and Other Mockbusters. The Asylum is a company best known for creating the Sharknado films, a series recognized as being the original innovator of the attacked by sharks in the midst of a natural disaster genre. This isn't all the Asylum has done though, as the company is also known for being a pioneer of the mockbuster, essentially films deliberately designed to ape and ride the coattails of more successful and established films. Mockbusters released under the Asylum brand include Transmorphers, The Terminators, Paranormal Entity, and even a movie called Snakes on a Train, which is about a Mayan curse that turns a woman into a giant snake on a train. All of these movies are just legally distinct enough from the movie they're ripping off to avoid a lawsuit, which is impressive in its own way when you consider just how close some of them come to skirting and stepping on the toes of multi-billion-dollar franchises. Examples of some of the more funny ones include Fast and the Fierce, Sinister Squad, and Independence Day, all of which are real movies that the Asylum paid actual actors to star in. The Asylum is also responsible for a frankly astonishing number of versus films, pitting every kind of cryptid and alien death monster imaginable against one another. One of these movies is called Airplane vs. Volcano, and we think you should watch it just to see how they made that title into a 2-hour movie. Number 9. Gameloft proudly presents Modern Combat 2 Black Pegasus. Gameloft is to video games what the Asylum is to films, a company that limps along in the shadow of a superior product, feeding on the scraps. The company is infamous for pretty much only making blatant rip-offs of established video game franchises, but for mobile devices. Within the gaming ecosystem, Gameloft is looked at with equal parts disdain and derision, mostly because it only ever releases subpar passable clones of better games. Games like Modern Combat 2 Black Pegasus, which is a rip-off of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which is so thinly veiled it could read the newspaper through a window covered in Vaseline from 10 feet away. The company is considered a joke by major gaming publications, to the point that when Gameloft announces a new game, most of them just make fun of it. You wouldn't know this from checking in on Gameloft's website though, because on the corporate side, the company proudly boasts about being a trailblazing innovator on the mobile gaming market, bragging about the lucrative licensing deals it has managed to secure over the years. You know, licenses for cult-critical darlings like Shrek 3 and Desperate Housewives. Which you kind of have to admire in a certain way, because it does take a huge amount of lack of self-awareness to literally spend years squeezing turds out onto the App Store and then brag on your corporate page about that one time Shrek 3 gave you money. Number 8. Brightspark is braver than any of us. A lot of Disney movies borrow liberally from public domain fairy tales. Cinderella, Brave, The Princess and the Frog, all of these are based on centuries-old fairy tales that anyone watching this could simply go out and make their own movie about. The problem you'll likely run into though is that although Disney itself doesn't actually own any of the fairy tales their films are based on, they do own the rights to the embellishments that they've made. As a result, while you could make a movie based on The Bear, the fairy tale Brave is inspired by, you'd have to be really careful not to step on Disney's toes. Brightspark Studios decided to screw all their noise and went out of their way to rebrand films they'd already made, specifically to make them look more like Disney films. The idea presumably being to capitalize on the success of already popular Disney releases by tricking less than observant parents into buying them. Brightspark releases include Braver, Tangled Up, and The Frog Prince, all of which had their covers redesigned to look almost identical to their Disney counterparts. Disney, well, unsurprisingly, they did not appreciate this, and they were pointing the business end of a billion-dollar legal shotgun right at Brightspark. But here is the really ballsy part. When Brightspark was asked to comment about the obvious similarities between their products and Disney's, they played dumb. So dumb, in fact, that they expressed puzzlement at the idea people would assume a film called Braver had anything to do with the Disney film Brave. For anyone who hasn't seen Braver, well, we'd like to point out that, like Brave, it stars a green dress-wearing princess with red hair. Yes, that is really how close this film was to Disney's, and Brightspark still thought that they could get away with it. Number 7. Len Kabasinski is a national freaking treasure. Len Kabasinski is an actor, director, and possible hero who seems to have nearly exclusively made terrible action movies with obnoxiously catchy butt-rock soundtracks and awful stilted acting. All of which you'd assume would make them terrible until you actually read the titles to these movies. Simply put, Kabasinski's IMDb page reads like the setlist to a Dragon Force concert. Angel of Reckoning, Ninja, Prophecy of Death, and Fist of the Vampire are all films he's directed, produced, and starred in, because, oh yeah, Kabasinski knows how to do cool ninja flips too. Naturally, the guys over at Red Letter Media are huge Kabasinski fans, going so far as to inviting him to appear on several of their shows, specifically in an episode fawning over crappy ninja movies. This is a favor Kabasinski returned by dressing up like a radioactive horse ninja for a joke movie they made for April Fool's Day. Regardless about how you feel about Kabasinski's films, you have to respect his dedication to schlock cinema. Number 6. Goophone, because G is to more than I. China, to put it simply, doesn't care about copyright infringement. If something is popular in the West, you better believe there is a subpar Chinese knockoff of it. Naturally, electronic devices are one of the most commonly counterfeited items in China, with smartphones especially being prone to imitation. Goophone is one such company that specializes in making knockoff smartphones, which on its own isn't that unusual. However, Goophone is so ahead of the curve when it comes to ripping off rival manufacturers that they ripped off the iPhone 5 before Apple had a chance to release it. But here's the stinger. Goophone not only released a copycat iPhone 5 before Apple did, but they patented it too. The case, well, it never went anywhere, but can we all for a moment just appreciate the brazenness on display here? Goophone tried to block Apple from selling a phone that they were ripping off by beating them to the punch and releasing it in China first. Number 5. Hero Mission, totally not Overwatch. Overwatch is a pretty awesome game. You know, if you enjoy fly-punching people off cliffs as a sentient robo-gorilla. The popularity of the series, though, has seen a number of copycat games being made. None, however, are as much on the nose as Hero Mission. Released exclusively in China, because of course it was, Hero Mission is a game for phones that is so unapologetic in its wholesale theft of Overwatch assets that you can't help but give it a pass. With the exception of some minor changes, such as turning the aforementioned robo-gorilla into a panda, because, again, of course, everything in the game is stolen directly from Overwatch. Actually, well, that's not entirely fair, because the game doesn't just rip off Overwatch, it also rips off Mad Max Fury Road and Star Wars, since if a company as rich as Blizzard can't sue you, it's not like Disney can. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Leopard Walk Up to Dragon. Believe it or not, what I just said is the actual title to a real knockoff of Harry Potter released in China in around 2007. Countless books like this exist, but this one in particular is arguably the most hilarious. And, well, why is that? Well, because it's the text for The Hobbit with Harry Potter's name simply shoehorned in. Yep, that's right, someone in China basically wrote Harry Potter Lord of the Rings fanfiction and then sold it as an official sequel to one of the most popular franchises in history. And are we really surprised that it's successful? Because if we're honest, if J.K. Rowling released a sequel to one of the Harry Potter books that promised leopards, well, everyone's going to buy it in a heartbeat. Number 3. The Theorists, because apparently the Big Bang Theory can't be the bottom of the barrel. Regardless of your feelings towards the Big Bang Theory, most people can certainly admit that it is definitely a TV show. With consistently high ratings and viewing figures, the show may not be all that popular with the nerds it satirizes, but it's certainly popular enough that the Belarusian government decided to rip it off. Called The Theorists, the show is a shot-for-shot remake of the American version with all the dialogue in Russian. The Theorists is so blatant in its theft that it even rips off the show's opening credits, save for the theme song, meaning, yes, Russia found a way to make the Big Bang Theory even worse. They keep absolutely everything the same, but simply remove the Bare Naked Ladies song. Number 2. Kim Jong-il once kidnapped someone to make a Godzilla ripoff. When you're mostly known for brutal subjugation of your own people and a cameo in Team America World Police, the fact that you once kidnapped someone and forced them to make a Godzilla ripoff tends to fall to the wayside. So, well, let's talk about that for a minute. The CliffsNotes version of this story is that in the 1970s, the pint-sized dictator arranged the kidnapping of a prominent South Korean director named Shin Sang-ok. Kim Jong-il then forced Sang-ok to make North Korean propaganda starring his wife, who Kim Jong-il also had kidnapped. Kim Jong-il used his time with Sang-ok to indulge his creative side and also had the director make a bunch of fantasy films, one of which was an obvious Godzilla-inspired ripoff called Pulgasari. This is a film you can watch in its entirety on YouTube because it's not like North Korea is going to sue anyone, and we've actually linked it in the description below. Say what you want about Kim Jong-il, you have to admit that it's a pretty baller move to kidnap someone just to make your own version of a Godzilla movie. Number 1. Pen and Pixel are album cover gods. We're going to be honest and say that everything we've discussed today has been filler, and this entire video was pitched and made entirely to show off Pen and Pixel album covers. Specializing in album colors for Z-tier hip-hop artists and rappers, Pen and Pixel produces god-tier results with what appears to be a budget of tens of dollars. Almost every Pen and Pixel cover looks like someone threw the hip-hop dictionary into a blender and poured the result into a Wu-Tang name generator. They're ostentatious, they're ridiculous, and they're all works of freaking art. While lesser rappers are posing on album covers with their shirts off, rappers opting for the pen and pixel route are pictured literally dunking women through basketball hoops, pointing guns at giant dogs riding trains, and flying through space in a convertible. Perhaps the greatest pen and pixel cover, though, is the album For Doing Things by Big Bear. And, well, why is that? Well, I mean, just look at this thing. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and do not forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also, if you're looking for something else to subscribe to, please consider my new channel. It's called Biographics, where we look at famous people and notable people from history as well as the present day and take you through the story of their lives. It's brand new, 20 minutes each video, so kind of longer, more investigative format. I really think you'll dig it if you like this channel. There's a link in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching.